Hi, I'm Tony Van Veen, CEO of Dismakers. I'm joined today by our long-term Dismakers client and friend, Cheryl Engelhardt. And Cheryl contacted me just a couple of days ago when she saw a couple of my social posts about NFTs and some of my videos that I've created about NFTs. And she reached out to me and said, Tony, I'm thinking of doing an NFT. Can we do something together? And I thought it was a great opportunity for Cheryl and I to kind of find our way through the NFT maze and figure out what works, what doesn't work, how do you create one, and share that information with artists who are in the same place that we are, NFT curious, but don't really know what to do. So Cheryl, good to see you. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thanks so much for doing this with me. I mean, I am a long time, like you said, long time disc makers, indie artist, doing it all on my own, trying to figure out what's the next thing that's going to make a difference for my music career. And I've got my seventh album coming out. It's my third one in the new age genre, so a little more niche than my previous pop stuff. So I'm always looking for how do I grow that audience? How do I access people that might not know about me yet, which is kind of what we're always doing as independent artists. This album that I created, I actually created on a train, a cross country train trip. And I realized that there are some train fanatics out there. I learned that there are some fan groups on Facebook. And I was like, oh, maybe these are the people that might be into NFTs because that's a thing. Like I've heard of this thing. Also, in my own coaching community, I coach musicians as well, and I've been hearing people asking me this question about like, "Hey, is this a good idea?" And I just didn't have enough of an answer to say yes or no either way. So when I saw you posting about it, I thought, hey, what if we learn this together so we could both go back to our audiences and say, yes, no, here's what to do, here's what not to do, and use me as a guinea pig because I've got this album coming up and it's got a neat angle and it might be something interesting. So that's sort of where I'm at here. I'm a full-time composer and recording artist. I work with commercials, social justice choirs, and do a lot of different stuff. So I'm full-time music and always looking for, how to help other musicians and also level up whatever I'm doing.
And within your genre, you're actually, I don't know, would you call yourself a top seller? And you've been nominated for a Grammy. Like
Nope.
you're no?
Working on the Grammy.
Okay. I thought I'm
Have
way ahead of
You're
you.
way you're like in December of this year. I appreciate
Okay.
it. No, I have had all three of my new age albums have hit number one on iTunes and Amazon and Bandcamp in the new age and ambient categories. The current one's called The Passenger. The one that we're going to be working on in this NFT project is became available for pre-order 2 weeks ago, and within 18 hours it became number one on Amazon. So
Pretty
I
awesome.
think there's a little growth there. So that's kind of fun. So I've got
So
something to hold on to.
yeah. So look, I am a both interestingly enough, maybe I'm a huge NFT skeptic of how NFTs are being used now. And I'm also a huge NFT believer in the potential of NFTs for independent artists. So let's talk a little bit about some of the questions that you have and that we're going to try to answer during a series of videos that we're going to do as we learn together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first big question for me is deciding, is this going to be something I do for my fans, my current fans, or is this something that I'm going to be doing to grow my fan base, or just to find the right person that's going to finance something for me? My gut instinct, and you can tell me what you think, my gut instinct is that because NFTs are so complicated, not just the NFTs but the cryptocurrencies and the platforms, this isn't something I want to bring to my fans. I'm having hard enough time trying to get them to pre-order my album on iTunes. i do think I do think there is a community. Currently, I'm exploring Discord, which is sort of like a chat community
Mhm.
for. I think it started with gamers, but there's a lot of NFT sort of servers. They call them different rooms where you can talk to people that are already in the space. And I think that that's more interesting to me is to find those people in the space, poll them, ask them what marketplaces they want, all that, maybe there's a way to communicate and learn stuff just from them and find my audience there. So that's what my gut is telling me. So that's the first question is who are we going after? And
Yeah,
then
and
other
my
questions are, well,
and,
we can get into other questions
yeah.
later. Yeah.
So my thought there is I think you're thinking in the right direction. I think NFTs, the world doesn't even know what NFTs ultimately are going to be or how the role they're going to fill, right? It's like we're in the early internet days and still sending messages on CompuServe, and we couldn't figure out from back then what the internet is today. And I feel it's the same thing with NFTs. And so they're still bleeding edge technology for the average music fan. And so targeting people who maybe already are crypto investors, who may already have bought NFTs or digital art, I think is a smart approach here. And just figure out, can you actually expand your fan base a little bit, or maybe at least drive yourself a little bit of revenue from this market that is out there. And then there's obviously the rest of the questions on
Right.
how do we do this, right? So what are some of the questions there?
Yeah. So the next questions I have are, I know I need to get on a marketplace. If I'm selling an NFT, I need to have a platform on which to sell it. So I don't know anything about the platforms, which ones my audience would most likely to be on. And my audience for this particular project are going to be fans of trains, people that love new age music or meditation or relaxation music. So I need to find, where are they? How do I make the NFT? Like, is it a zip file? Is it, do I need, like, what else do I need to add? Is it the whole album or just the song? Like, do I do just the, the singles essentially? So figuring out what the thing is, how many of them there are, and then minting it, which I'm sure is a term we'll get more into, but that's the transactional part. How do I deliver it? How do I receive the money? Are we doing an auction style, or are we going to put a price tag on it and with a certain number and say, you just buy it for this? So those are all sort of micro decisions. I think a lot of them will take some research, and we'll come back and touch base on what we learned. And my guess is that whatever marketplace we choose, it's not going to be necessarily the right one. It might be the right one for me, or just the one that we just ended up having to choose.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of the last thing that you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
The do you do an auction style release, which is all based around scarcity, right? It's limited amount of content that's available to the highest bidder, versus just a transactional release, right? Where, let's say you were to come to me and say, Tony, I need 1,000 CDs and I want to mint 1,000 NFTs, and the with them, and that's the first run, and then the NFTs are the 1,000 limited edition, and then if the CDs sell more after that, they don't come with an NFT. So what's your thinking there about kind of transactional and doing more units out there with maybe a more modest price tag that's easy
Sure.
to buy, versus an auction where you have to be there at a drop time and actually bid?
Yeah. So again, I'm just kind of, without having a lot of information, I've done a little bit of research, but without having like a real understanding of how all this works, my gut is just telling me that the auction feels a little more exciting. And it also, because there are so many unknowns, I don't know if someone's going to want to buy any NFTs from me for this project, whether it's the single or the
Somebody
album.
will
So
buy, Cheryl.
somebody
Somebody
will
will
buy.
buy. Yes.
So for me to say, let's put 1,000 out there and they're $20 a pop, like, okay, cool, maybe a couple people will buy it $20, but maybe the auction will create this urgency where someone's going to be like, no, I really need this. I did some good crypto investing 10 years ago, and now I have some money to spare, or crypto to whatever to spare. I want to give $50,000. I don't feel like I want to put a limit on it, just because I don't know what the limits are. So I'm interested in saying, let's not put a price tag on it. Let's see what people show up with. And yeah, maybe I still come out with $20 either way, but there's a lot more possibility if I don't put a price tag on it. So that's leading me to say, I think we should go with the auction model.
Yeah, and I do agree with that, mostly for the reason that we discussed a minute ago, which is it's so bleeding edge. There's probably not a ton of fans out there yet knowing even how to buy NFTs,
Right.
right? And so if you go to an auction model where all you need is 5 or 10 or 20 or 25, I don't know how many you're thinking of auctioning, that all you need is that, and then put it out there and see. So what are you thinking of using as the content for your NFT that is like attached or built on the token?
Yeah, well, there are 9 tracks on the album, and then I have 4 ambient mixes of 4 of the tracks. So that's 13 tracks. And if we wanted to do 13 singles, that seems like a good good number, that there's enough, but they're all 100% unique because it's one track per NFT essentially,
Mhm.
rather than doing the whole album and having like 10 or 100 copies of the same thing. So to make that very exclusive feeling, makes sense to do the 13 tracks, individual singles.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13, you gotta love the 13. So I that's what I'm thinking, and it could come with, a unique album cover art. I am releasing many of these songs as singles, but maybe artwork in addition that's different
Yeah.
even from the single release. And then because it's instrumental music, each song title has a little bit of meaning and story behind it that you'll never really hear from me unless you're on my email list. So I could make a video or write a little essay on that and provide that as well. So we're talking an MP3, a JPEG of the album art or the song art, and then however I deliver like the story. So I feel like that's some good, unique, exclusive content, and there's 13 of them, different
Yeah, I
ones.
think I think it's a great idea. I think 13 unique NFTs of unique content, of unique singles with unique artwork, and even if you add some narration or something,
Mm-hmm.
the backstory is likely to be more interesting, better, gives you a better story to tell when you go to market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also it's more unique. And so probably more valuable for each one of these unique things than if you did 13 copies of your whole album,
Right.
right? So I think that's a great way to I think about how to position yourself or your NFT for both maximum coolness and visibility, and therefore maximizing hopefully the auction value of each of these NFTs.
Yeah. And because I'm releasing these singles, one of them is already out. We could get started right away using one of them as like a, let's go through this process with just one and then duplicate it. It might be something to research. Do we want to do them all on the same platform, or are we going to go different platforms? That could also be interesting.
So Cheryl, neither you nor I know anything really about NFTs or how to do this. So
Nope.
we're going to embark on this journey together.
Yep.
Before we wrap up this episode one, and we don't know how many episodes there's going to be because we're going to be
Nope.
learning along the way, and we're going to see what questions arise, and we will share those with the viewers. Uh, what are kind of what are you seeing as your next steps and next things to kind of figure out?
I think the very next step is the marketplace. Where am I going to put this? So for me, my actions to take are I'm going to go dig in around some servers on Discord, get into some conversations with people that I know are already crypto people, NFT purchasers, or at least interested, because that's what the name of these servers are. And just sort of see what are people interested in. Do they recommend any marketplaces? I might just ask point blank. We'll see what the rules are and what I'm allowed to do. So I'm going to join some conversations and also do a little bit of research on the side on marketplaces um, to host, to sell, to mint the NFT. Maybe I'll also learn what the actual term is.
Yes, and what it actually means.
Right. I'll leave that to you.
Yes, sounds good. Well, I think sounds like what you're going to do next is ask a bunch of questions of a bunch of people,
Yep.
and figure out which answers seem to offer the clearest path. Well, great. I think this is really exciting. I look forward to embarking on this journey with you. And you go. We'll talk in a couple days, and
Sounds
then
good.
we'll find out what you learned.
Woohoo. All right. Thanks.
See ya.